Okay, so we've all thrown around psychopath and sociopath, right? Usually just means the really bad guy in a story.
Absolutely. Standard movie shorthand.
But looking at the clinical stuff you shared, well, it's way more specific and honestly kind of more chilling when you see the distinction.
It really is.
So our mission today, let's try and cut through that media noise and get to the clinical reality.
Yeah, let's do that. And the very first thing, maybe the biggest aha moment for you listening, is that neither term, it's not a formal diagnosis on its own, not in the DSM-5 anyway.
Oh, right. So they're not official labels.
Nope. They're clinical constructs. Think of them as profiles that fall under the official umbrella diagnosis, antisocial personality disorder, ASPD.
ASPD. Got it. And that's the diagnosis for basically a consistent pattern of ignoring other people's rights.
Exactly. Pervasive disregard. But how that manifests, well, that's where psychopath and sociopath come in as useful, though unofficial, descriptors.
Okay, so let's hit that core idea right away because this seems key. Nature versus nurture.
That's the central framework, psychopathy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's generally conceptualized as more neurodevelopmental, something innate, maybe genetic, problems with the brain's wiring, nature.
Okay, hardwired differently?
Sort of.
Uh,
Whereas sociopathy is seen more as acquired, resulting mainly from like really bad environmental stuff, trauma, abuse, neglect, nurture.
Traffic. And this isn't a new idea, right? You mentioned Cleckley.
Right, Hervey Cleckley. His book from way back in 1941, The Mask of Sanity,
Yeah.
huge. He was one of the first to really shift focus from just, listing bad deeds to looking at the personality underneath. That profound lack of guilt, the shallowness of emotion, that was the game changer.
The math Senate. Okay, so let's dissect the first profile.
Yeah.
The psychopath. Cold, calculated. You said nature, innate wiring. What's actually going on in the brain there?
Well, the neurobiology is fascinating. A lot of focus is on the amygdala, the brain's fear and emotion center. Studies often show reduced volume, less activity there in individuals high on psychopathy traits. Think of it like the brain's alarm system is faulty or just turned way down.
So they don't feel fear the same way?
Pretty much. It helps explain why they're often quite fearless, why punishment doesn't seem to deter them in the way it would others. They just don't process threats or potential negative consequences with that same gut-level emotional punch.
Wow. Okay, and this lack of feeling, this is where empathy comes in, or rather the lack of it.
Exactly. But here's the crucial bit. It's a specific type of empathy they lack. Effective empathy. They don't feel your pain, your fear, your joy. It just doesn't resonate emotionally.
But they can seem so charming, so manipulative.
Ah, yes. Because they often have intact, sometimes even superior cognitive empathy. They can intellectually understand what you're feeling, read the cues, figure out your emotional state.
Purely as information.
Precisely. Information to be used, to manipulate, to charm, to deceive. That's the mask of sanity in action. They can mimic emotions they don't actually experience. It makes them incredibly effective social predators.
So the behavior is instrumental, planned,
Right.
organized, like that corporate psychopath example. Ruthless climbing, using the system, maybe not even breaking laws overtly.
That's a classic example. Calculated, predatory, using sophisticated deception rather than, say, impulsive violence.
Okay, shifting gears. From cold and calculated to the hot profile, the sociopath. You said this is more nurture, trauma, abuse.
Yeah, the etiology seems strongly linked to severe adverse childhood experiences. If the psychopath is defined by fearlessness, the sociopath is often marked by the opposite.
How so?
Emotional volatility, high anxiety, actually, impulsivity. They do have a conscience, unlike the psychopath's profound lack, but it's like, it's weak, damaged, unreliable.
So they might feel some guilt sometimes.
Fleetingly, perhaps. But it's easily overridden by immediate impulses, anger, frustration. Their aggression is often reactive, hot-blooded. Think bar fights, sudden outbursts, crimes of passion rather than carefully planned schemes.
That impulsivity must show up elsewhere, too, like in relationships.
Definitely. Unlike the psychopath, who tends to see people purely as objects or tools, the sociopath can form attachments. But they're often chaotic, unstable, dysfunctional. Still capable of some connection, though. That's a key difference.
And this impulsivity, the lack of foresight, that must have consequences legally, right, in the justice system.
Huge consequences. The sociopath's recklessness, their disorganized behavior, often means they get caught. Their crimes might be messy, impulsive, leaving obvious trails. So the system often contains them, in a way.
But the psychopath.
The primary psychopath. They're often adept at gaming the system. Because traditional rehabilitation often relies on fostering empathy, remorse, understanding consequences, things rooted in emotional processing.
Which they lack because of the faulty wiring.
Exactly. So they can feign remorse brilliantly,
Hmm.
talk the talk for parole boards, manipulate therapists. That neurobiological resistance to fear and lack of genuine effect makes them very difficult to manage within systems based on deterrence and emotional change.
So this distinction really moves us away from just labeling people bad. It's more like understanding different types of malfunction almost. One biological, one trauma-induced.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It reframes it towards complex issues of, brain function, disorder management, and the impact of severe trauma.
It really does.
And if you synthesize all that, one group potentially lacking the fundamental hardware for conscience, the other group having that software severely damaged by trauma, it forces a really tough question on us, on society.
Which is?
Well, how do we assign full moral blame, full legal culpability, when the very capacity for feeling guilt, for empathy, for conscience seems fundamentally compromised? Whether by nature's lottery or by catastrophic environmental failure, it challenges our whole idea of the guilty mind, doesn't it?
It really does. Definitely something to think about long after this deep dive ends.